Chapter 16 and 17, the Russian troops are advancing. This is in this context of a high degree of confidence and buoyancy for the Russian army, but some doubts are starting to appear in the infantry, and they're leaving the Pratzen Heights thinking the French are farther ahead than they are, and then suddenly the fog clears and they see that the French are much, much nearer. "Look, look," exclaimed the adjutant, pointing not at the troops in the distance, but down the hill in front of him. "It's the French." And then this kind of a ripple goes through the troops. Someone cries out, "Brothers, it's all up." You see, they're surprised. There's this, it's just the perfect ingredient, just the perfect time. There's a surprise that goes through. And "Brothers, it's all up." At this cry, everyone began to run. Confused and ever-increasing crowds rushed back to where 5 minutes before the troops had marched past the emperors. Not only would it have been difficult to check this mob, it was even impossible not to be carried back with it. And Andrei is here, Kutuzov is here. And we see just on this knife edge the situation turn. And I find this quite fascinating. And Kutuzov's caught up in this, Prince Andrei's caught up in this. And just at the end of this chapter, this is to me, I've been thinking about this for a number of days, and it's kind of appeared in some of my writings. Prince Andrei's trying to sort of stem the tide, and he's right in the midst of it, and he cries and he grabs the standard, I think the banner or the flag, and he's a small man, he can barely hold it, and he's running forward, fully confident the whole battalion would follow him, trying to just turn the panic. And indeed, he ran only a few steps alone. One soldier followed, then another, till a whole battalion had run forward shouting, "Hurrah!" So there's a small group within, they're just emboldened by Prince Andrei's actions. But they overtake him, and he's seeing this kind of hand-to-hand fighting amongst some cannoneers. And suddenly he felt as though one of the soldiers near him had bludgeoned him on the head with all his might. The worst of it was not the pain, but that it distracted him, preventing him from seeing what he had been looking at. "What is it? Am I falling? My legs are giving way." And so this is like another critical moment, I find. And he falls to the ground, and his whole mind is sent into this whole different, it's just like it breaks free. And he has these thoughts. How quiet, how solemn and serene. Not at all as it was when I was running, thought Prince Andrei. Not like our running, our shouting, our fighting. Not like the gunner and the Frenchman with their distraught, infuriated faces. How differently those clouds float over the lofty, infinite heavens. How is it I did not see this sky before? How happy I am to have discovered it at last. Yes, all is vanity, all is delusion, except those infinite heavens. There is nothing but that. And even that does not exist. There is nothing but stillness, peace. Thank God. I've been dwelling on this use sentences for quite a while. It's significant to me. So what is happening with Prince Andrei? We know he's a smart fellow. We know he has a measure of self-awareness of himself and the energies and motives rumbling in him. And so what's happening in his mind? So I'll just explain a little bit what I think is happening. His mind, there's this experiencing happening that breaks through his thinking mind. You know, he's this smart, thinking, calculating fellow trying to, even inarticulately, find some sort of solution, find some sort of relief. And it comes out in different ways. His grasping for it. More recently, he's had these thoughts of, you know, maybe I will be the hero and save the day, and people will recognize this. And here he is. He sort of begins to play that role, and then he's knocked to the ground, and something else just ripples through his mind. It's like he's been freed of all this inundating, involuntary thinking mind that's working so hard to puzzle and reach for some sort of meaning, and it's just like cut through. And he see, his words are, "How is it I did not see this sky before? How happy I am to have discovered it at last." And so there's this, these are given in words, but what is it actually he's discovering? You know, it's funny how the words are there and there's this story, but you know, they mean so much more than just the words on the page. There's some sort of enlightening breakthrough for Prince Andrei that's just cutting through all what just even moments, days, weeks, months before, it was like impossible to solve, and it was just so weighty and heavy. And here he is, he's fallen to the ground, he's looking up at the heavens, and he's like, why have I not seen this before? It makes sense to me now. And it's funny how the mind can be so heavy like that and so commanding, especially the thinking mind, the rational mind. And if somehow it's just pierced through, and just the clarity of the world itself breaks back in. You know, when you're consumed with this thinking mind, even simple kindnesses become hard. And just the simple things to do. This is what I will do to help or to make things better for those around me and myself. For some reason, those are just hard, and then you have this enlightening moment. We've seen something similar happen with Nikolai. Remember, this has happened to him almost a couple times. He's on the bridge and running away from that other Frenchman, and Nikolai, not being as self-aware, in my estimation, he just, you know, he has this sort of eureka experience of the battle, but quickly it snaps back and it just gets translated as, hey, yeah, rah, rah, I was this hero. Continuing to not really be self-aware of himself and what really went on. And Prince Andrei, it feels like there's potential something different. Now, is this the end for him? Is he going to die right here? He's been hit very hard in some manner, we don't know. Is he going to die on the battlefield? And it's just here at the end that he's just getting these glimpses of some sort of clarity, some sort of resolution. Or there's also the potential that, you know, if he survives and this heavy, critical, thinking brain snaps back in, and it just has a way of interpreting this experience as some other delusion, as some other confusion, and it sort of takes over again. That's a potential. But in Prince Andrei, compared to Nikolai, you know, you get a sense of a little bit more self-awareness and clarity that this could be the seed of something else, a breakthrough that could just fundamentally change some perspective within him. And so he's joined the army to look for this kind of grand solution, and it's sort of presenting itself to him, but not at all in the way he was expecting. So here you're kind of, he's right but mistaken at the same time, but also giving this kind of enlightening experience lying there on the battlefield. And I find it very relatable to me. How is that I did not see this sky before? How happy I am to have discovered it at last. There is nothing but stillness, peace, thank God. You know, I sort of forget exactly what happens next, but you know, you really hope this sort of takes hold to him, and perhaps he's rescued, perhaps he's not fatally injured, and that this could be, there's no guarantees, but this could be the potential of growth within Andrei. We will see.